Good morning. Today we are going to do 6th chapter of class 10, political parties. Now first, what is political party? A political party is a group of people who come together to contest election and hold power in the government. They agree on some policies and programs for the society with a view to promote the collective good. A political party is a group of people, those who are having same kind of ideology, same kind of views for the development of the country and same kind of agenda. They agree on that. So that the group of that people, they make party, and that party, if they want to contest an election, they want to form government. So that kind of group of people is called political party. Now, with the political party, one term is very much related, that is partisan. The meaning of partisan, a person who is strongly committed to a party, group or fraction. Partisanship is marked by a tendency to make a side and inability to take a balanced view on an issue. A person who is very much committed to the party, which party he is connected, which party he has joined, this commitment is very important for a political party. The members, those who are the member of that party, the people, those who are the followers, they should be committed to the party. And that is the important thing for a political party. Now, a political party has three main components. All the political parties. As India is a democratic country, we are having so many political parties here in our country. But all these parties are having these three main components. These parties reflect fundamental political division in a society. Parties are about a part of the society and thus involve partisanship also. Thus a part is known by which part it stands for, which policies it supports and those whose interests it upholds. These three components are, one is political party has three components. One is the leaders. The leaders of the party, those who are going to make the laws for the party, those who are going to make the rules, regulations for the party, the program of the party, the agenda of the party they are going to prepare, they are called the leaders of the party. Then second, the active members of the party. All cannot be leaders, the members, those who are supporting the party, those who are following all those agenda in the party. And third one, the followers of the party, finally those who are going to vote them also. So these are the three main important components of the party. Now next is, what are the basic function of the party? Why these political parties are formed and what are their work, what are their functions? Basically, political parties fill political offices after contesting an election, after getting power, and exercise political power. Parties do so by performing a series of functions. These functions are following. First, to get a power, these parties contest an election first. Then parties put forward their policies and programs. And these policies and programs are chosen by voters also. If they like, then only these parties will be chosen by these voters, and this party will be become the part of the parliament. Now, ruling party play a decisive role in making laws for a party, for a country. The party which gets maximum vote in the maximum seats and maximum vote in the parliament, that party form government, and that after that, that party become ruling party. And the ruling party is going to make the laws for the country, the developmental policies for the country, and all the welfare programs are made by these parties. Parties form and run government also. Those parties that lose in the election play the role of opposition to the parties in power by voting different views and criticizing for its failures or wrong policies. Like after 2014 election, BJP is a ruling party and Congress is opposition. So Congress is always trying to criticize the policies and the programs of ruling party, means BJP. So Congress is playing a major role of opposition. Few other parties are also in opposition, but the major party is Congress in the opposition today. Parties shape public opinion also, and these parties are shaping the public opinion also. If a ruling party is not working properly, then the opposition criticize them and also make aware people that these are the policies which is not beneficial for the people. Now in this way, the parties are going to shape public opinion. Now, there is a question, what is the necessity of political parties? Why do we need political parties? Can't we make government, can't we form government without political parties? No. The country like India, it is not possible. In a democratic country, it is not possible to make government without political parties. Now, there are few points which we can discuss here. Why modern democracies cannot exist without political parties? We can understand the necessity of political parties by imagining a situation without parties. Every candidate in the election will be independent, so no one will be able to make any promises to the people about any major policy changes. So nobody is accountable for that policy, for that program for the people. The government may be formed with these individual candidates, but its utility will remain uncertain. Anytime any candidate will not support that government and that the government cannot work. Elected representative will be accountable to their constituency only from where they were elected, for what they do in the locality. But no one will be responsible for how the country will run. And we want government to run the country, not any one constituency. That's why we need some candidate or some kind of political party which is completely responsible for the country. We can also think about it by looking at the non-party based election to the panchayat in many states. Although the parties do not contest formally, it is generally noticed that the village gets split into more than one fraction, each of which puts up a panel of its candidates. This is exactly what the party does. That is the reason we find political parties in almost all countries of the world, whether these countries are having one party, two party or multi-party system, or big or small, old or new, developed or developing countries, they all are having parties. The rise of political parties is directly linked to the emergence of representative democracies. As we have seen, large societies need representative democracy. As societies became large and complex, they also needed some agency to gather different views on various issues and to present these to the government. So all these points are necessary to form or to make or to have a political party in a country. Now the next question is, how many parties should we have? There should be one party system in a country, two party system in a country, or multi-party system in a country. There are so many countries in the world, across the world we can find all these types of party system. In a democracy, any group of citizens is free to form a political party. There are a large number of political parties in each country. Even more than 750 parties are registered with the Election Commission of India. Usually only a handful of parties are effectively in the race to win elections and forming government. So 750 parties and more than it we are having in our country, but all the parties are not having equal importance in the country. They all are not up to that mark that they can form government. So for that we are having only few parties, those who are playing the important role in forming government. Next we are going to discuss the types of party system based on number of parties. As I told you that some countries are having one party system, two party system or multi-party system. Now based on the number of parties competing in elections, there are three main systems of government. First, in some countries only one party system is allowed to control and run the government. These are called one party system. Only one party can contest an election, and its example is China. Although even in China, legally speaking, people are free to form political parties. It does not happen because the electoral system does not permit free competition for power. Then only the one party is having access to contest an election. Then second one is the two-party system. Two-party system Means two parties contest in election, and the example of this two-party system is USA and UK. USA is also having two parties. They are, one is Democratic Party, another one is Republican Party, and these two parties are contesting in election. So here there is the chance for the other party to lose in election also. If the party is not working properly, that party can lose in the next election. UK is also having two-party system. The parties are Labour Party and Conservative Party. So both the parties are equally important for the country, and both the parties will work properly because the chances of losing election is equally there for both the parties. Then third system is the multi-party system. This we can find in India. There are two or more than two parties existing in India, and they all are contesting in election. They can contest in election even. But basically two parties mainly working here, that is Congress and BJP. Now one word is used, NDA, National Democratic Alliance. This is used for BJP, it is led by BJP. And another one led by Congress, that is UPA, United Progressive Alliance. Then here I would like to tell you the meaning of coalition and alliance. This India is having multi-party system. We have a multi-party system in our country. In this system, the government is formed by various parties, those are coming together in election. After election, if some parties are not getting maximum seat in parliament, or no party is getting the maximum seat or the up to the mark. Suppose there is 545 seats in the parliament, then for 273 seats are not acquired by any party, then two or more parties come together to form a government. So that kind of government is called the coalition government, when more than one party come together to form a government. And when several parties in a multi-party system join hands for the purpose of contesting elections and winning power, it is called an alliance or a front. For example, in India, there were three such major alliances in 2004. Parliamentary elections, the National Democratic Alliance, as I told you, the United Progressive Alliance and the Left Front. The multi-party system often appears very messy and leads to political inability. At the same time, the system allows a variety of interests and opinions to enjoy political representation. Multi-party system gives choices to voters. They can choose any party and any candidate whom they like. But sometimes it creates problem in the country also. If there is a coalition government, if any party, any candidate will not ready to support that later on, then there is a re-election or some kind of emergency will be created. So these parties create some kind of mess in the country also. Why does India need a multi-party system? Now there is a question, why India need a multi-party system? Multi-party system for the election. As India is a land of rich cultural, linguistic, social and geographical diversity. We have so many people from different culture, different language, and according to the geographical diversity also. We are having so many different people, and they need some representative from their side. Those who can understand them and who can present their problems in the parliament, and those who can understand them. That's why we need multi-party system. Their party, they can contest an election, they can form, they can organize, they can form their party and form their government also. If India had only one or two parties, it would not be possible to inculcate the views of the several diverse communities in the country. Therefore, in order to make sure that all the different social groups are represented in governments across the country, India has adopted a multi-party system with parties at the center, state and regional. We are having regional parties also, state parties also, and the parties at center level, so that the need of all the groups can be catered. National political parties. Now, there is a point. We are having national parties and state parties. So what are the national parties? National political parties. A party that secures at least 6% of total votes in Lok Sabha elections or assembly elections in 4 states and wins at least 4 seats in the Lok Sabha is recognized as a national party. There are some countrywide parties which are called national parties. These parties have their units in various states, but by and large, all these units follow the same policies, programs and strategy that is decided at the national level. These parties are given a unique symbol also. Only the official candidates of the party can use that election symbol. Parties that get this privilege and some other special facilities are recognized by the Election Commission for this purpose. That is why these parties are called recognized political parties. The parties, those are getting registration in the Election Commission, and those who are getting all these special symbols, they are called the national parties and they are recognized political parties. As BJP and Congress and so many other parties are the main parties here. Now, Indian National Congress, I want to give you some example of these national parties. The Congress party is also one of the national party, popularly known as the Congress party, one of the oldest party of our country, founded in 1885 and has experienced many splits. From that period only, played a dominant role in Indian politics at the national and state level for several decades after India's independence. Almost major part of rule after independence was in the hand of Congress only. Now, second one, a very popular and recognized party is BJP, that is also called Bharatiya Janata Party. This party was founded in 1980 by reviving the erstwhile Bharatiya Jana Sangha. Wants to build a strong and modern India by drawing inspiration from Indian ancient culture and values. Cultural nationalism, or it is basically based on Hindutva, is an important element in its conception of Indian nationhood and politics. And right now in India, this BJP is ruling. Next one, Bahujan Samaj Party. Now it's no more the national party. Earlier it was a national party. Now national parties, Communist Party of India. It is also no more the national party. Now Communist Party of India, CPI. It is also formed in 1925. Believes in Marxism, Leninism, secularism and democracy. Opposed to the forces of secessionism and communalism. Accepts parliamentary democracy as a means of promoting the interest of the working class, farmers and the poor. Became weak after the split in the party in 1964 that led to the formation of the CPI. Next is Nationalist Congress Party, NCP, formed in 1999 following a split in the Congress Party. Guardian secularism, equity, social justice and federalism. Wants that high offices in the government be confined to natural born citizens of the country. Now state parties. We are having so many state parties. They are also called regional parties. A party that secures at least 6% of the total votes in an election to the legislative assembly of a state and wins at least 2 seats and recognized as a state party. This is the eligibility criteria for the state parties. And after acquiring all that, the party can be state party. Other than these 6 parties, most of the major parties of the country are classified by the Election Commission as state parties. These are commonly referred to as regional parties. Yet these parties needed not be regional in their ideology or outlook. Some of these parties are all Indian parties that happen to have succeeded only in some states. Parties like the Samajwadi Party, Samta Party and Rashtriya Janata Dal have national level political organization with units in several states. And the example of few state parties are Assam Gana Parishad. This is also known as AGP. Biju Janata Dal in Odisha. This is also known as BJD. These are the regional parties you can see in this map. Now challenges to political parties. These political parties are facing so many challenges also inside all these parties. The first challenge is lack of internal democracy within parties. The party found that there is a lack of internal democracy. The members of the parties, they are not free they are not getting tickets. Sometimes they want to contest in election, but there is no democracy. As we can see, we can take the example of Congress party, that most of the decision is taken by the leaders like Sonia Gandhi and other old leaders. Other members of the party are not getting chance to contest in the election. So this we can see that there is a lack of internal democracy. Now the second challenge of dynastic succession is related to the first one. It is also related to the first one, that internal democracy is not there. And again we can take the example of Congress party, that we can see from the beginning, Nehruji was Prime Minister, then Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, then Rajiv Gandhi, his son, was Prime Minister, and no other candidate is getting chance to be the leader of the party and to get that position in the party. So dynastic succession is also there, and that is also a challenge for so many political parties, even in the regional parties also, not even in national parties, but we can find all these challenges in the state party also. The third challenge is about the growing role of money and muscle power in parties, especially during elections. During elections, parties, they try to use money and muscle power. With the help of money and muscle power, they try to change the mindset of voters. They try to bring their side all these voters. So this is also because of sometimes they create some kind of fear among the voters, and sometimes they attract them with the help of money. So all these things are also a challenge. And internal politics and political parties are also having this. Those who are having money and those who are having muscle power, they are easily getting tickets for contesting in the election in the party. And those who are not having all these things, generally they are not getting. They are not getting the important position in the party also. So this is also a great challenge for the party. The fourth challenge is that very often parties do not seem to offer a meaningful choice to the voters. If the voters are not getting any meaningful choice, then the voters are not going to cast vote in favor of that party. And this type of problem is again faced by the Congress party. They are having their leader Rahul Gandhi, and this is not the right choice, and voters also, they don't like them. So this is not a meaningful choice for the voters. So this is also a challenge, and because of the lack of internal democracy, because of the dynastic succession, any other eligible candidate is not getting that position and is not becoming the meaningful choice for the voters from this particular party. So these are the challenges to a political party. Now how can these parties get reformed, and how can we reform these parties? What should be done from this government side, and what election commission can do, or how the changes can be made to reform these parties, or how we can change all these things with the challenges which we have read. Now the constitution was amended. First one, the constitution was amended to prevent elected MLAs and MPs from changing parties. This is a very common phenomena. We can see that after election, if any candidate, MLA and MPs, they are winning an election but the party is losing election, most of the time they try to change the party to get power and position. So this can be stopped. This was done because many elected representatives were indulging in defection in order to become minister or for cash rewards. So that's why the constitution was amended, and this is preventing MLAs and MPs to change their party after election. A law should be made to regulate the internal affairs of political parties. It should be made compulsory for political parties to maintain a register of its members, so that it will be clearly mentioned in that register that what is the source of their money, how they are getting that money, and where they are investing that money, what they are using for their party's welfare and for the development, how they are organizing all that. That should be registered so that it will be clear to all the party members, and it should be clear to the election commission also. It should be made mandatory for political parties to give a minimum number of tickets, about 1/3 to women candidates. Now the women candidates are very less in all the parties, and they are not getting tickets. They are not contesting an election. They are in very less number. So it is also mandatory for the political parties to give tickets to these women candidates also. and this is mandatory now, so they have to follow that. There should be state funding of elections. The government should give parties money to support their election expenses. The support could be given in kind, petrol, paper and telephone. And if this support is given by the government to these political parties, that can also stop the use of money and muscle power in the election. In this way, they are not going to borrow money from any businessmen and other people. Because if they are borrowing from them, later on after an election, they are going to oblige them, they are going to fulfill their demands, and that is also create corruption in the country. Then the Supreme Court passed an order to reduce the influence of money and criminals. Now it is mandatory for every candidate who contests election to file an affidavit giving details of his property and criminal cases pending against him. If the person wish to contest an election and he is getting ticket, then he is going to fill one affidavit, and in this affidavit they are going to declare how much property they are having and how much, if there is any criminal case against that candidate. So this is also mandatory for all the candidates, those who are going to contest an election, so that it should be clear to Election Commission what kind of person is that person is who is going to contest an election, and in this way we can get some good candidates for our government. The Election Commission passed an order making it necessary for political parties to hold their organizational elections and file their income tax returns. This will also show, and in this way it will be clear that a person is corrupt or he is making money, and how much money he is having and how much money he is using for himself. As daily we are reading in the newspaper, so much corruption done by these politicians. They are making money, only the money which is given to them for the welfare of the people, for the developmental policies, more than 50% they are keeping in their pocket. So in this way, so much work is done by the Election Commission to make our all these parties and for the corruption-free election also. This is that's why we need political party, and this is important. The reformation is very important. After that only we can get good political parties in our country. Thank you.